With some really interesting changes from the comics, I'm going to go over the spoilers and review episode 7 of Invincible. Hello everyone, welcome to Invincible Central. My name's MJ, and yes, spoiler warning. We're going to talk about spoilers for the show. We're not really going to touch spoilers from the comic, so if you're worried about that, don't worry. So this episode was incredible, let's say that straight away. It opened up with more of Eve's good nature, do-gooding that she's doing, which actually I think in the comics it takes place sort of in Africa. But here we're seeing her doing it in sort of middle America sort of area. But it's nice to touch base with her and see some really nice visuals with the sort of the hut that she's made, and yeah, just good to catch up with her. Then we move straight across to Nolan and Debbie. Debbie basically kicks Nolan out. This again is, I think there's a really powerful scene here where Debbie's walking down the stairs and she sees the hole made in the wall, and that's something that is going to be I think there's a nice simile drawn later on in the episode, but basically she's walking past it, and like me as the viewer, I'm thinking, I mean, that could have been my chest sort of thing. So I think when you put yourself in Debbie's shoes there, she's like, I'm in a dangerous situation here, this is messed up. And then sort of proving her point, he just flies out the bloody roofs, the ceiling and the roof. Like, cheers for ruining our family home. I mean, obviously he's you know, a serial killer by this point, so bit of property damage isn't going to worry him any much. But yeah, still, just it's shocking. It's shocking, the disrespect. Sorry, just got a jumbo jet taking off in our kitchen, so close the door. So then we go across to Amber and the friction that we're still seeing between Amber and Mark. And Mark comes out as invincible to her, and it doesn't make a blind bit of difference. This is another really interesting change from the comics. So I want to touch on this briefly, actually, in that the show is making some incredible changes from the comics. Like the rough sort of storyline and the important beats are all there, absolutely. But they are, in many ways, they're enhancing the scenes and they're changing them in different ways. And it's absolutely brilliant, especially as a reader of the comics and someone who sort of knows what's coming. It's great to be getting these differences that make a lot of sense. Now I really like Amber's iteration in the TV show, and here it's a bit of a surprising reaction for me, but I think it makes a lot of sense actually. So she yeah, she's sort of like, yeah, no, I already knew you were, you nonce. And the reason that she's still not sort of accepting his reasons is because she doesn't like that he lied to her, which is fair enough. Yeah, very interesting. Then we go across to the Guardians of the Globe, and we have this really creepy moment where Robot is sort of malfunctioning and keeps like repeatedly saying die. So I like this as sort of drawing him in sort of like a darker light. That's really interesting. And then of course we go across to the scene with the Mauler twins, and just all of this was brilliant. Like, this entire scene was, I think it had everything. It was like quite heartfelt and touching, and like messed up and gross and weird, loads of different emotions. And the moment when he's like, yeah, get rid of all the bloody defense mechanisms or whatever. Like I think they said things like automatically releasing toxins and stuff, and he's like, nah, like, sack it off, boys. I want it. The only person in control of my body is going to be me. So that was really good, and they gave him a neural link as well. And I really like the line from one of the Mauler twins, which was like, I know a neural link when I see it. Brilliant. Then all of the control room stuff with Debbie and Cecil and everything was really cool. I sort of got similar vibes to like Winter Soldier when they're in the control room with the big Hydra reveal. So I really like that. That was cool. And then moving back to the house, we see Nolan sort of realising that there's invisible agents there, and just absolutely messes them up. Gun through the face was horrific. And then yeah, he realises that across the road they're surveilling him. They've got him under surveillance, and they explode him. And the line-up between the dialogue and the audio and what's happening on the screen here is so brilliant when Cecil's like, yeah, I might knock him out for a few minutes or not hurt him at all. So yeah, this is a particularly sharp and funny episode, which I really liked, and the animation was really good as well. There's a few places where the animation looks cheap. I think we've seen this across the series. This is such an ambitious show that I think they do have to sort of cut corners here and there. Like, I think that there's one moment in this episode which took me out of it a little bit. I'll talk about it later on, but it's when the birds fall out of the sky. It looked a little bit cheap, but it's fine. It's, you know, you get those smaller moments, but we still get our big epic moments. So then this moment where Nolan is interrogating, or intimidating I should say, William in the car, absolutely mental. Again, he's just completely fallen off the path, and is now just threatening Mark's best friend. It's mental. And also he doesn't necessarily know that William knows, so he's just like showing total disregard. He's like, yeah, where's Mark? So that's interesting as well, basically showing that Nolan doesn't care anymore. Really nice to see Eve and Mark chatting away. Their relationship continues to build, so hopefully we'll see some blossoming love if Invincible gets a second season. Then I'm actually going to run the clip from this bit here, because the animation on this, saw this on Twitter that someone highlighted how good this piece of animation was. I completely agree. This piece was absolutely sick. The different colours and how it just explodes. It looks very much like anime, but a really lovely piece of animation here. So I really loved that. Then the moment where Cecil is sort of teleporting all around Nolan was really cool. Basically saying, like, yeah, mate, like, you've betrayed us all, like, mate, I thought we were friends and whatnot. And then Nolan goes to grab him and just gets his tie as he teleports away. So this brings me on to a point where this is going to be incredibly minor comic spoilers. Not even going to mention any specifics, so it's really not a thing. But basically, there's a character that would probably show up incredibly soon. I'd say they'd probably be the next character to be introduced. Assuming that we get a season 2, I guess the setup would be in there and we'd get some of this character storylines in there. But one thing that makes me a little bit nervous is that there's a couple of things in this episode, like the Mauler twins transference and the surveillance globes that the government seem to have, that just seem very similar to one of this sort of some of the things associated with this character in the comics. So yeah, it's interesting, some of the choices they've made, but yeah, I'm really hoping we see them soon, if there is a season 2, because they're my favourite character in the comics. Then we have the reveal of the kaiju. So when we first encountered this kaiju, there is like the implication that the government are going to take it, and yeah, they did indeed take it, and not only that, they souped it up somehow. So that was really cool how that returned. And then Invincible shows up on the scene, and there's a little team up with Invincible and Omni-Man versus the kaiju, which they actually seem to struggle with surprisingly. Yeah, this I would normally not expect a kaiju to be too difficult, even just for Nolan alone. But I guess the government did a real strong job of beefing him up. Then we have the subplot that was teased at the end of last episode with the Immortal. We have the really cool flashback scenes, which I thought was awesome, how we're sort of revealing that it's Abraham Lincoln. That's absolutely brilliant. And he just goes into an absolute fit of rage and flies off to look for Omni-Man. Also really love that the control collar just completely didn't work, and the Mauler twins were like, and sort of, I really like how this sort of mystery element played out. Actually, at first you're like, oh, is Robot a bad guy? But then not only did he plan on taking the Mauler twins back to prison, but also the thing that he gave them didn't even work anyway. So that was really cool. But yeah, Immortal goes to find Omni-Man, and of course that does not end well for him. A really brutal fight, a really brutal moment. I really liked that sort of everyone was watching. Really interesting similarity to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If you've seen that show, there's a moment that happens in that show which is very similar. That the episode titled "The Whole World Is Watching," and then yeah, you have this horrendous moment of Nolan giving the old scissor arms, which I'm sure is something we've all done once in our lifetimes. But yeah, that said goodbye to Immortal. I'm sure probably just for the time being. I'm sure he'll be back. And of course the episode ended with that incredibly crucial line of dialogue from the comics, "We need to talk," and that was like the episode title as well. So yeah, that was the penultimate episode of Invincible. So next episode is the finale. I imagine it's going to be absolutely out of control. Yeah. It's really interesting to think that there'll be around 45 minutes to fill next week. Like, yeah, there's going to be some really interesting reveals, I think. But yeah, this was an excellent episode. Loads of action, and I loved it. So let me know what you thought of it in the comments section below. And yeah, I'll catch you next week for the finale.